Hi, everybody. Welcome to the release party for The Marriage Maker and the Widows. This is our first go at live streaming, so you guys will have to work with us a little bit as we figure out how things go. We have our Facebook party going on in the room, but we're going to be live streaming along with that. You're going to meet me, Tara Scott, Summer Hanford, who you see here on the screen. We'll also have Lisa Boyro, Laura Chandler, who I wrote Seduction of a Widow with. And tomorrow you're going to see Mary Lancaster. Nice group of authors tonight. So if you haven't gone over to the release party room yet, be sure to do that. Just new release party, The Marriage Maker and the Widows. Feel free to ask any questions that you want. And we're going to tell you all about the books. We've got a couple minutes here before everything gets going. But for those of you who haven't met Summer Hanford, that's her. Partially, you see her head there. Wave, Summer. So, Summer wrote the first book in this collection, The Rake Ruiner, which is a very fun, sexy book. So if you haven't heard about her yet, you might have a great time taking a look at this book here. Summer, start by telling us a little bit about the book.
Well, this book, it actually, it was a challenge for me in that I write sweet romance, and it was hard for me to figure out how to write a widow who had all the freedoms Regency Society has to offer, but yet not put in any scenes that I don't like to write.
Okay. Oh, which would be what, Summer? As if I don't know.
So I actually opened the book just after one such scene. So that's the way it opens.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, she's not a virgin. She's not a young miss. She's a grown woman.
Right.
I want to make that clear to the readers. So that was the challenge for me in writing this one. And it was more of a challenge than usual to keep her away from the man she wanted, because unlike a young miss who has to get marriage out of him first and all this, you know, she could do what she wants.
Right. And you typically write kind of the other way around, don't you? The girls who are a little less experienced.
Yes, I typically write girls who are very inexperienced, because then I stop when they fall in love and get married. So that was the challenge for me. Also, unlike most of my books, I just kept to one point of view, because I believe that when you're, just a personal thing of mine, that when you're in a character's point of view, that character shouldn't be allowed to hide anything from the readers.
Right.
The reader should be along for the ride. They should be in the character's head. So no secrets between the reader and the character.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the plot points in this hinge on the reader not knowing some things until the right moment. So I did it all from one point of view, just from the widow's point of view. So the reader only knows what she knows.
And that is different for you. I remember that, because I've read quite a few of your books, as we know. And you tend to write from at least 2 points of view.
I'm a planner. I plan my books, so I like to alternate his, her, back and forth with a romance. Keep the reader fully in the loop of the misunderstandings on both sides and the complications on both sides.
Right.
What's going on in their heads. So yes, this was a departure from that for me.
If I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I do, you didn't think that you would be able to write a book for this collection.
No, I did not.
I wonder how you got talked into that.
Do it. You made me.
Somebody
very turned out really well.
Right?
There is one element in it, I won't want to give away any surprises, but there's one thing in it that I think is very scandalous. No reviewers have commented on it yet, but I'm easily scandalized, so it's probably not not so bad.
But you're not going to tell us what that is.
No, no, I don't want to spoil anything.
That would spoil the book, right? Uh-huh. So you actually wrote something
Secret passion
scandalous.
of one of the characters.
The what now?
Secret passion of one of the characters
Oh,
is a little.
and I'm assuming it's not chocolate.
No, it's not chocolate. No.
Oh, I haven't had the chance to read all of the book yet. I've only read the opening to it, so I've got to have to do that now. You got me curious. Secret path. Now I see why it was that your editor liked this book so much.
She did. The editor did like this book.
I remember she told me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is always nice. Sometimes she comes back with more like, this isn't up to your usual quality. Redo the whole thing. No, she's only come back with that once.
I think that only happened one time, though.
It only happened one time.
But not with this book.
No, it wasn't this book. It was one with a theme, sort of a old-fashioned theme, and I think I got myself into an old-fashioned mindset, writing-wise, writing style, like a fairy tale mindset, which is keeps the reader really at arm's length, that old-fashioned Cinderella style, describing what's going on to the reader, not living through the characters. So that's the one she had me redo. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
It's a good story, a good book, but just the way I wrote it.
That's a difficult technique.
Yeah, and it's not what I normally do, and not what we want for our purposes for me to do.
Yeah, but you did bring that book up to snuff too. I remember that. She liked it very well after you did your revision on it.
It took me almost as long to revise it as it did to write in the first place.
But you were willing to do it, and that's what counts. And
well,
you
no,
did. And
she pointed it out. I completely saw what I'd done. I realized, and I realized why, because it was a fairy tale.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I realized what I'd done, and I realized why I'd done it, and I knew she was right.
Kim is seldom wrong, I found, which is good and bad. There are times you want to say, oh, she needs to be wrong, but she's not.
Well, I really firmly believe, I know there's some styles where you keep the reader at arm's length, and there's some books where that fits, but that's not what I do, and I firmly believe, as I said, in the reading experience is a partnership between the characters and the reader. The reader should be there as if they're living what the characters are living. Because if you just want to watch something go by, you could be watching a TV show or listening to the radio or staring out your window. If you're reading a book, it's because you want to be there right inside that world. Mm-hmm. Know what the character's thinking, know their feelings. I mean, a really good TV show or movie, I guess the actors could convey what they're thinking and feeling. But usually you only get that from books, the total experience of what the other person is really thinking and feeling.
That's why books, when they remake a book into a movie, it tends not to be as good, at least for the people who've read the book.
Right. Because, yeah, like I said, I think it takes a really, really good actor and director and scriptwriter to bring out all those emotions, all those thoughts that the reader got out of a good book and put them on the screen. Yeah, which is good, because otherwise no one would read books, and then what would I do with my time?
Oh, you'd have to train that dog some more, your puppy. Like you need more time doing that, right? Yeah, well, the relationship between author and reader is very intimate. It's just the two of them, really. The characters are created between those two entities, and the reader can connect very personally with that and make it, to a large degree, whatever they want. Movie, what you see is what you get. So tell us about The Rake Ruiner, specifically.
So The Rake Ruiner is, I love the title. I know ruiner is not a word But sometimes you pick out a title, at least I pick out a title and I check it to see if anyone's written a book called that. And there's some titles that I like so much, I'm like, no, it's impossible that that's not out there yet. But, this one wasn't, which I thought was great. And so she is a widow, obviously. And the idea is that she wants the freedom of being a widow.
Uh-huh.
She wants to have fun. She just wants to meet guys and date them. But every guy that she spends any time with falls in love with her because she's just so wonderful. And they propose to her and they want to give up their rakish lifestyle just for her. So she ruins them. Then, they learn about love and their hearts are broken and they're not rakes anymore.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, that is difficult, isn't it? Those poor guys, she breaks all their, oh, wow.
Well, the man in the beginning of Rake Ruiner, Rivington, Mr. Rivington, he's a notorious rake, and he's only in the very beginning and the very end of the book, but he's very charming, and I actually plan to include him in another book in the Marriage Maker series as the main character. Now that his heart's been broken and he's learned about love, he's ready. He's ready to be a main character.
I liked him very much, and I was hoping you would do something with him when I read that chapter. He's
going to be in London Lonely Hearts Club because now he's a lonely heart. Because she broke his heart.
That's right. He's got a broken heart now from her. Oh, okay.
He's reformed. He's good now.
So tell us about the hero in Rake Ruiner.
The hero is a Scotsman. He is slightly older. He's an older gentleman. Some gray in his hair. He's not 20-something. He has 2 daughters. He's a little grizzled, a little grouchy, a little set in his ways. So very resistant to falling in love a second time because he did love his wife that he had the 2 daughters with. So he's very resistant.
Oh, he's got two daughters.
He has 2 daughters. One is already grown up, and the other is just about to come out. So yeah, he's a mature gentleman. He's not some kid. And he doesn't want to fall in love again. He's been just fine raising his daughters and not having a woman in his life. He doesn't want one and he doesn't need one. Or so he thinks.
So he thinks, like all the men think who hook up with this lovely lady, right?
Exactly. Oh, but he doesn't like her because obviously she would be a terrible influence on his daughter who's about to come out. I mean.
Oh, because she's scandalous. Who lives loosely, right?
Yeah, can't have her around.
Oh, so how do they meet? Will that give it anything away to tell us?
In the very beginning of the book, so I guess I'm not giving too much away here. She, to avoid Mr. Rivington and his obsessive pursuit of her hand in marriage, she goes and hides in a very remote Scottish town, a little village in the Highlands. So that's how she meets. There's very few people there. He's one of them.
Oh, okay.
So they're pretty much bound to meet once she gets there. Some people might even think that since Sir Sterling James found the place for her to go live, some people might think that he planned for them to meet. We'll never know, of course,
Oh, so you don't give any of that. You don't give Sir Sterling's part in this away in this book.
Oh no, I think it should be obvious to the reader that he set her up when he sent her there. And it will be.
Oh, he sent her there. Oh, I got you. Okay,
Sir
right.
Sterling, he was like, "Oh, I'll help you out. I'll find you a place where Rivington can't find you. I know this great place you can go, a manor you can rent." He sends her there.
Okay. Isn't it interesting how Sir Sterling is always in the right place at the right time?
It's almost magical.
It is almost magical, isn't it? Lady Jasmine. Pardon?
Oh, I was going to say, a friend of mine said that once about one of my fantasy series. She's like, isn't it too much of a coincidence that you are writing about this guy who grows up and becomes a hero? And I said, well, I'm not going to write about the guy who doesn't. That's how I feel about Sir Sterling. We're not going to write about the guy who's not always in the right place.
That's right. That's right.
What would that be?
Uh-huh. That's exactly right. Nobody wants a hero who doesn't know what's going on.
Well, at least eventually he's got to know what's going on.
Yeah, well,
Skywalker him for a while. Eventually he'll figure out he's kissing his sister.
Well, so as we know in the first 4 books of The Marriage Maker, Sir Sterling made a few mistakes with his own romance.
Mistakes are how we learn.
Yeah, that's how you learned, right? It's always much easier to be in charge of somebody else's life instead of your own.
That's probably true. You have that detachment.
Yeah, well, when you're not emotionally invested or not emotionally involved, it's very easy to make good decisions. But love tends to make fools of all of us. Of course, I wouldn't know. I've never been a fool. I'm not going to say anything else.
Never been a fool.
So, we got a few more minutes here for you. We just got started, actually. So when you started writing this book, and you didn't think that you could, how did you discover that how did you end up writing a book that was so good? Writing a book you didn't think you could write, how did you do it so well?
Well, I think a big part of it was I had to write a character that is different from what I normally write. So maybe I had to put a lot of effort into understanding her and building her character. Instead of, I might when I write just another young miss, I don't like to think that I coast, but there are definitely, I don't coast. I mean, obviously I try not to. I try to make each one very individual, but they're going to have a lot of similarities. If you keep writing 18-year-old girls who grew up in the same society and have similar, teachings and life experiences, that they'll have certain similarities. So to write, a full-grown woman, I had to switch it up a little, if that makes sense. So I think I had someone tell me that they thought she was not as nice as most of my characters. There's 2 things about that. One, that might be good because I get an interesting number of reviews complaining that my characters are too nice.
Oh, really?
That's by different people. I've gotten reviews saying that on multiple occasions. I don't really know what to do about that, but so if she was a little less nice, I guess that's not entirely bad. But I actually don't think she was less nice. I thought she was very nice.
Huh. They said who said that? Was that one of the reviews on Amazon?
No, that was one of my pre-editors.
One of your pre-editors who said she wasn't. Maybe she wasn't as nice, but that's, like you said, that's okay. We do want to vary what we do.
Yeah.
I know that your editor said it was one of the best books of yours she's seen. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I think also since it was from one point of view, that gave me the opportunity to really delve into the widow's character.
Right.
Not that there's anything shallow about the way I normally switch. That gives you a rounder story perspective, but obviously it gives you only half as much time in each character's head.
Right.
So of course you won't get as much of each character. So yeah, I think you got to know her very well.
Right. Personally, I'm rather proud of myself that I talked you into it.
You should be. You did a good job talking me into it.
Yeah, Yeah, well, I don't know. There was something about the theme. I mean, while you write closed door on the lovemaking, you do write very a good chemistry. It's very compelling, and that's all that was really needed here. I thought, as it turned out, it was right. And I'm right once in a while, so that was nice.
I think you're probably right more often than not.
Well, I was right this time, and I'm glad for that. So I'll take credit for this one because it turned out quite well.
Torment me.
Pardon?
I thought you just wanted to torment me.
Tormented writer is usually a really good writer, I think. Most of the really good ones are tormented usually. But I really thought it'd be a good book, and I was right. You came across with a very great chemistry. What little bit I read anyway, I will eventually get around to reading the whole thing, probably when it's an audio, which won't be that far away.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're working on that now. We've got some great narrators lined up.
The narrators we've had for the past ones have been really good.
Yep, they actually have. In fact, the gal who narrated, I think Keeley, who we're going to be seeing in November, I think we're going to see if she's available to narrate The Duke's Widow, right?
Oh,
The
yeah?
next out of the Marquess. Yeah.
That's another one of those titles that I was surprised that it wasn't out there already when I checked it.
Oh, The Duke's Widow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Wouldn't you? Interesting. Well,
Somebody should have done this by now. I guess I'll do it.
it is funny how some titles don't get used at all and others get overused a lot.
There are, I wouldn't want to try and guess which ones. Because I wouldn't want to get myself in any trouble. But yes, there are some. And it's I think the first book that I ever I do a little self-publishing, as you know, on the side, the Jane Austen stuff. The first one we ever did, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't check if the title had been used, and it turned out it had already been used, and for a pretty popular one too. So,
Oh, really?
That just makes it look like we're trying to rip them off. It's kind of embarrassing.
Oh, wow.
But that's how I learned my lesson. And now, when I go to title a book, I go into Google and Amazon, and I check and check and check.
Yeah, you have to really look well. It's amazing that the titles that sometimes get used a lot.
Yeah, and it's not, you might be cheating yourself that way too, because it makes it less likely people will discover your individual book.
That's right. Well, it's, but ultimately you're writing some good books, and I think people are noticing.
I hope so. I worked really hard on them.
I think they're coming along very nicely. I'm happy.
Good. I am too. I can't wait to see the cover for The Duke's Widow.
Yeah, that should be coming up pretty quickly, actually. That's in the queue for coming up right away. I think that's actually going to be, well, that's certainly going to be one of our next releases coming up very quickly. So, and it will mirror Archaeologist's Daughter.
Good. I love that cover. So beautiful. Right here. I always have it nearby.
Archaeologist's Daughter is right. Oh yeah, we don't have the covers. We don't have the print books for the Rake Ruiner yet. But that'll be coming up soon.
Yeah, that'll be nice too. I love how you put all four together in a collection, like with The Marriage Maker, the original series, and The Rules of Refinement.
Yeah.
And then we're
going to be doing that with all of them.
And it's actually beautiful.
Yeah.
You do a great job. Your cover person does an amazing job.
That is Rebecca with Dreams 2 Media. She's really good, as we know. And she's doing most of the Rake Ruiner or the Marriage Maker covers. Most of them.
She does a great job. Do you pick the fonts, or does she?
He picks the fonts. I usually do the graphics. unless they're going to be a little tough, then I talk to her and say, you know, do you think this will go together? But she really does the design.
I
I'm no
think,
good at that.
and I guess she'd know better. I think I'm easy to work with cover-wise. Maybe I don't give enough information. I'm not very demanding.
No, you do just fine. We haven't had any trouble with any of your covers so far.
I don't, you always ask, is there a specific place? I'm like, oh, I was like, nah, just Regency, the Regency people. I don't get real hung up on it. When my earlier books, I used to, I think that's a thing that new authors do. They want a scene from the book and they want it to look just like it looked in their head. And it's really not necessary because the reader is going to picture it the way they want. Anyhow, the real job of a cover is to portray sort of the essence of the book, in my opinion. The feeling of it, the mood, the ambiance. It doesn't need to be a scene from the book with the correct, wallpaper or whatever that was described in the novel.
It's pretty much impossible to make. Well, usually it's pretty much impossible to do that. Like you said, you have to give the essence of the cover, essence of the story. People are liking our covers. I think we're doing pretty good. We get a lot of
literally trying to find my legs, so if I scream, don't be alarmed.
Oh, your dog or your cat?
Yeah.
Oh, the cat.
I have a standing desk, and the desk is up because I'm standing, and she can't get on it, so she's trying to climb me to get it to the desk.
She wants your attention, doesn't she?
Yes, of course. She wants to hear me scream. She's actually a little bit mean.
Cats are like that. Mm-hmm.
She doesn't mind it. Say that about her. The dog, if I screamed, he'd be like, oh no, what'd I do? I'm so sorry. The cat's just like, yes, I made it scream. Oh, look, there's the cover. That's a nice trick.
Yeah, there. I finally figured out how to get it up there. I've been trying to do that.
By the end of the evening, you are going to be an expert. Oh, that makes my little square smaller. I see. Now I have to stand even more centered, not move around.
Yeah, otherwise we only see half of you, right? So this book here is, let me see, how many of these have you written now? I've kind of lost track.
Ooh, I've written more than are published, so that makes it hard in my brain to, because we have more in the works.
Right.
I've done Rules of Refinement, the Marriage Maker and the Spies, The Marriage Maker was Undercover, and Marriage Maker and the Widows are all out.
Right.
But I've also done Wallflowers. No, not Wallflowers, Wildflowers. That's coming out soon.
The Flowers is Scotland.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list here too.
I know. But I believe that I'm slated to do 8 out of the 12 or 9 out of the 12. I forget total. So hopefully people like my writing because they're going to be reading it.
This is what you do. This and fantasy are the two main things that you write.
Beg your pardon?
I don't know. Pardon?
Oh, I didn't know what you asked me.
I said Regency and fantasy are the two things you write.
Yes, those are the two things I write. Yep. The beauty of fantasy is that I get to make up whole worlds, and the beauty of Regency is that I do not have to. They're a nice juxtaposition to go between,
That's right.
What's working for you, writing-wise. One is almost like a break from the other. So.
Right. Well, yeah, that's typically why authors write in more than one genre too. As much as we love them, you kind of have to diversify a bit because you can get overloaded.
I think I'd get burnt out on just one if I wrote just one genre.
I would very much so.
No, I haven't managed to get all my. all my giveaways up because I'm talking. Oh wait, I still have another 15 minutes. That's right. We started at
We started a little
started
early,
at
right?
7:15 to 7:45. Okay, good, because I've only got half my giveaways up on the Facebook page. Hopefully, I'm putting them up right.
Oh yeah, you're doing great.
Since I'm not really looking at them. As soon as when I go off the live feed, then I'll go and check out everybody's comments, see what everybody's saying, reply to them.
Yeah, I think people are having trouble finding us on my page, which I don't know. I'm not sure what. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see if I can
That's
fix
what I mean. I
that.
don't know how many people are finding the live feed, but we have it going on the typing, the scrolling feed on the Facebook page and the live feed. So.
Oh, okay. There we go. I think I'm on there now. There we go. Okay, I think my page has it now. Okay. I think the settings were off over there. That's why I said this is our first time. Oh my gosh.
We'll only get better at it.
Yeah, it might take a little bit of time.
You've got all evening to practice.
Oh my Lord, that's so funny. I kept thinking everybody should be seeing this. Well, they kept saying we can't see it, and look at the settings, and I think it wasn't public. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, they're saying yes, we see it now. Oh God, I'm such a dope. Oh my Lord. Sorry about that, guys.
Too, or just live stream?
Yeah. Well, pardon?
Does it record it too, or just live stream? Can you put?
Oh, it records it too, so we get to save all this for our YouTube channel.
Okay, so you can put a link to the full interview later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Great. Well, then everyone can find out what we've been saying. It was super interesting. You all have to go watch it.
They can see
Never heard anything like it.
I had the wrong settings on there. I got to figure out why it was like that. Oh God. Oh Lord, me and technology. Casey will attest to that, our editor. Oh God. I kept thinking I'm seeing it. Why is anybody else seeing it? Because it was set only for me.
Well, I've been really enjoying chatting with you.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been so much fun. But we still have a couple minutes. So since we're kind of starting over, even though this will go on our Facebook channel, tell right now again. Let's see. Oh, we got. Okay, somebody is coming on as viewers. So let's see if we get a couple viewers on here. We can start over. Oh man, I am such a dope. They're saying I don't see it.
They don't see it again.
Yeah. Well. So the next. Let's see. Right now. Oh, you've already written. In fact, there's a couple of other books that we have. Forbidden Love coming up, which is about a family thing. We have the Lonely Hearts, London Lonely Hearts Club.
I forgot Forbidden Love.
Oh, you forgot about Forbidden Love.
I forgot that I wrote that.
You did. You wrote that one. We still have.
Sorry. I only have a working title so far because you haven't approved it, but it's titled "My Lady, My Siren." That one. Now that you
I like that. I think that's what we're going to go with. I think it's a great title.
Because she has a beautiful singing voice, and that's part of the reason
okay.
I fell in love with her. Yeah.
Okay.
So, good. That's why. That's why that title. I thought it sounded good.
Oh, I didn't realize. See, of course, I thought siren as if she was wooing him in with her charms.
Well, she is, but one of them is her singing voice, so just like a siren.
See, little by little, you're writing a little more sultry.
You're trying to corrupt me, Tara Scott.
So I've been told. It wouldn't be the first time.
So I've been told.
Oh man. Well, you'll do whatever you feel good, but the books are good the way you're writing them. I mean, people, I will read anything that's good, whether it's sexier or less sexy. If it's a really great story and the characters are connecting, that's all I care about.
I think there's a real place for sweet Regency romance or clean or whatever people like to call it. I prefer sweet, calling it sweet over clean. personally.
Yeah, I think
But
clean
there's
is
a
kind of
place
a
for
new,
it.
yeah. It's kind of a new title that's been coming up here. The clean. It used to be called Sweet Only. So
I don't
oh
know
man.
exactly how sweet and clean is supposed to be, but I just do what I do, and if anyone wants to.
I think it's just door closed, pretty much. So I think the next book you got coming up is The Duke's Widow after this, which is part of the Under the Shadow of the Marquess series.
Right, which uh, the editor thinks is a little dark. I don't necessarily see it, but
Oh, really? So you are coming over to the dark side, literally.
yeah, she thinks that series, it is called Under the Shadow of the Marquise, so.
Uh-huh.
Or Marquess, however you want to pronounce it. We don't need to get
Marquess
into
is the British way to say it. But anything will do. I'm trying to think here. I remember something about the rape balloon, but I can't now think of what it was. Oh, that's right. You just said if the hero is going to be going into not the hero, the first guy is going into Lonely Hearts Club, and that one I'm really interested in because I actually liked him a lot. I felt bad for him.
I know, I liked him a lot too. I think that's actually why my heroine got called mean, because he was so in love with her, and and he proposed so nicely, and she shot him down, but she wasn't in love with him. She didn't.
If I remember, he proposed to her in bed.
Well, yes, but he got down on his knees. He got out of bed and went around the bed.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't technically in bed.
And got down on his knees.
Oh, did he? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. He's forgiven.
She said no.
I do remember she wasn't happy. Now, before your slot ends, I don't know if you have any kind of giveaways for everybody.
I
If
do.
you do,
I'm posting them on the live stream.
yeah, right. You can either, well, you want to also let folks know in the room whatever you've got going on, because not everybody will see this. They may not be quite accustomed to us doing this just yet.
So in the feed on Facebook, I've been posting the giveaways. I'm giving away an item from a place called Fairy by Foxy. She makes pearl and lace chokers and beautiful Regency style hair ribbons and things like this.
Okay.
Choice. An Amazon gift card, of course, and 2 different groupings of Marriage Maker books. One set, I'm giving away one of each of the ones in this series on ebook as one prize, and a different prize I'm giving away one of each that I've written so far that are published.
Oh, okay.
So, sort of one all about me and one all about this series. So I have 4 giveaways up. Well, I'm putting up the last one now.
Okay.
And they are all open until midnight Central Time, I think I put, except the last one, because the way to enter the last one that's going up now is to share our Facebook discussion page now, but well, anytime before 10 p.m. before we're done.
Okay.
So everybody's friends can come and play with us too. So that one only goes till we're done, because, sharing it after we're done, nobody can then come and get involved, although they can still read all the stuff and enter the other giveaways. So I guess maybe I should include shares after we're done. Guess I could.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the giveaways I'm doing. I think they're all up. As soon as I'm not on camera, I'm going to go back and check, make sure they're all really there.
Yeah,
If
it's
they
hard.
aren't,
I'm trying
I'll
to
put
speak
them
up for you, and I'm having a tough time. I'm not as good at multitasking as I used to be.
I'm not a super multitasker. I tend to actually be very, very focused.
Oh,
Which
let's see. So I think we have live comments. I'm trying to see if we have any comments here. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, so they can hear you now. That was my fault. I had you hidden. I had us both hidden. Oh, my God. Well, we know how I am with technology. The Peanut Gallery cannot comment on that. Peanut Gallery knows who they are, too. Oh. So, okay, we're getting close now. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody about the book? We got a couple minutes left.
About the Rake Ruiner specifically?
Yeah, or any of the books we got going on.
It's a really good book. It's I'm a little more subtle possibly than usual. With the plot points. It's always a fine line. You want the reader to get to figure things out. You know, you don't want to just tell them everything. This is everything that's going on. You know, it's nice. It's nice when they learn things along with the character and figure things out, and they can say, "Oh, I get it." But you don't want to be too subtle, because when the time comes, you want them to figure it out, but not be completely surprised, like no one could ever have guessed.
Hi, Charlene. There's Charlene. Slowly but surely, I'm figuring this out as people are coming on here now. Gosh. Oh.
My picture's so narrow, I thought people would be able to see my dragon better.
Oh, sorry about that. Then I'm blocking the view of your other picture.
I did check though before we started. I turned on the camera on my computer to see what was behind me.
Yeah, me too. That's why I put up our marriage makers up here, just with a little bit of it.
And I realized there's not much behind me. I need some more artwork.
That's all right. This is the first verse. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got a couple comments. Yay! There we go. Oh,
people
very
can
cool.
finally see us.
Yay! Oh, thank you, Charlene. Yeah, the covers are we said it earlier, but nobody could hear us. Created by Rebecca Poole at Dreams 2 Media. So that's who's done most of the covers. The first couple sets were done by another very talented artist, but Rebecca's doing them now, and she did the Rake Ruiner and all the covers in this collection here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got somebody else. I got to keep up on this now. Hi, Courtney. Courtney's coming on here. Hi, Courtney. Jody.
The cat gave up trying to climb my leg. She's all sad now.
Oh, no. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to pull a couple more people in here. We got more authors showing up. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to add, you can stay as long as you want as well, Summer, because people might have more questions, or you can hang around and come back. But I'm also going to bring in Lisa Boyro. Bring her in now to broadcast.
Well, I will probably stand here quietly and go over this stuff, and then if I hear my name, I'll look up.
Okay.
Or you can get rid of me anytime you want.
Okay. All right. Everybody, this is Lisa Boyro. She wrote Marrying the Belle of Edinburgh. Don't you just love that title?
Well, I hope so. I hope people like it.
Yeah, I like, well, of course, Scottish romances. They're very fun. Right. And so tell us, Lisa, about Marrying the Belle of Edinburgh.
Well, I actually started out, and forgive me, got a little bit of a cold, so my voice is a little hoarse. But I actually started out working in more of the mystery genre than romance or anything else. And I, kind of slowly migrated over time into historical mystery, and I have a series that is a historical mystery with some romance elements. So, Marrying the Belle of Edinburgh was sort of my take on try to take the traditional sort of romance form and add a little bit of mystery to it. Try to blend the two a little bit. I've always been one of those people that, like a lot of people, I'm sure I'm kind of a Jane Austen nut. So, and one of the things that I really love about Jane Austen is her restraint. So, it's almost like it's better when it's all, held under wraps and, people feel great emotion, but they can't express it because, they're too British or they're too Scottish or they're too whatever. So, Marrying the Belle of Edinburgh is basically the tale of a man, William, who has been in love with the same woman for a long time, but unfortunately, she's been married to his best friend, and so he suffered quietly in silence, and then his friend is killed mysteriously by highwaymen as he's coming back to London from on the Great North Road, which was the road that connected Scotland to London. And so, as the story opens, his friend is dead. His friend's widow is making her return to society, and he is struggling with. He's decided himself that it's time for him to look for a wife. So. The book starts out where he has contacted the marriage maker to see if he can find himself a bride. And of course, on the first foray to do this, he ends up running into the woman that he's unfortunately still in love with.
Okay.
So, and then she, for her part, I mean, she's married. She was married to Lord Carlisle, who, by description, was somebody who was very romantic and very handsome, and sort of the catch, right? He's now deceased, and she's grieved for him, and but at the same time, she's really, 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 she's really suspicious about his death. But as a woman in the society, I mean, you're not supposed to ask a whole lot of questions. So she's held her suspicions in check. But when she meets up with William, she decides that because he's been such a good friend to her and to her husband, her deceased husband, that she's going to confess her suspicions and ask him to help her to solve the mystery of her husband's death. So you throw these two together. Again, she is searching for the murderer of her husband. He's been in love with her the entire time and is trying to figure out how on earth he can possibly make her love him back. And at the same time, they're trying to track down a murderer who has eluded justice up to now. So it's got a lot of, as I said, a lot of restrained emotion and romance, but also the mystery element of what did actually happen to Lord Carlisle. Was it highwaymen, as everyone suspects, or was it indeed a calculated murder? And if so, who was the murderer? Who committed the murder? So
of course, if we want to find out, we've got to read the book.
Of course, right? Yes, exactly. Exactly. And obviously, as I said, because I sort of started out in the mystery genre, I think this book, this work has a plot that is it's driven by the mystery and it's driven by the romance, because obviously these are two people who, the reader would hope are meant to be together, but it's the question of how do you make that work, right?
I like mystery. I write a lot of mystery and suspense. When I first started writing, I never thought I would do that, but boy, I gravitated toward it like crazy.
Yeah, I did. I did too. And for those of you who don't know, the original books that I started out with are books that are contemporary. So they're mysteries, but they're set in, the first one's set in like 2005. They're modern type books, and they're based on on my experience, not obviously in solving crime, but my experience.
Murder.
Right. My experience as an attorney and sort of try to take, you know, the stuff that I saw in everyday life and turn it into something more exciting in terms of a mystery. And then, you know, just by chance, almost by the time, you know, the way my characters kind of work themselves out, I ended up with some romance. And then, as I said, then I migrated to another series, which is a series based with a detective who is a lady who was a lady scientist, and that kind of moved me more into the Regency era. So so this is my first, like, I would say, story novella with a Regency flair. I have a Regency series, but it's an actual series of books with a detective and you know, and plots that continue from one book to the next in terms of the character. Right. So
I had forgotten you're an attorney, so you would have a lot of cool things to draw on.
yeah, well, that was the weirdness when I first started writing. I mean, okay, so as you probably know, attorneys, I mean, I was an attorney, I am an attorney, and I work full time, and I also write, right? And I also have kids, and I have all sorts of other stuff going on. So when I, right, so it's like, okay, I'm juggling a million things. But when I started writing, I wanted to write a book that required like no prep, no research, no anything, because I didn't have any time to do any of that. I just wanted to be able to focus on writing in the 5 or 10 minutes I had at every point. You know, like, I realized I never had a block of time to actually sit down and write, but I did have 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there. So I thought, okay, right? So if I write a book that is based on very loosely on my own experience, and I don't have to do any research, and I don't have to do anything like that, then I can, you know, put together a book in 5 and 10 minute increments, which is basically how I wrote my first book. So the point of the first book was, okay, I'm an attorney. I have had you know, a bunch of experiences. Well, and actually the quirk of my first book is that I'm one of those people that has face blindness, so I can't recognize faces. And so the quirk of the first book is that the detective is like Sherlock Holmes because she has to recognize people based on other things, right? Which is what I have to do. So, you know, I took my own issues, my own neurological issues. I married it to my own experience as an attorney, and that's how I came up with my first book and with my series. That's a modern series. So obviously Regency, you know, once I'd gotten to the point where I was interested in writing a Regency book, that did require a little bit more research and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
I was about to ask you how that went for you.
No. It was, I mean, you know, the plus for me is that I am kind of a Jane Austen nut, and so like that had morphed itself into reading a bunch of books about, you know, social history of England, you know, during the period, and right. So I mean, like, I did have a store of sort of maybe accurate, maybe not information about things that I could sort of work from. But yeah, no, I had to actually sit down and do some research. I'm not saying everything's going to be 100% accurate, because obviously I'm not a historian, but yeah, no, I mean, you actually have to, you know, put your time in and try to figure things out. So,
I mean, if you're going to write historicals, unless you're already a historian, you're going to have to do some work.
Right, exactly. So, and at the same time, I mean, I know you guys probably struggle with this too. On the one hand, you know, you want to be fairly accurate, but on the other hand, you know, you're writing these stories for modern readers. So, I mean, the thing that I love about Jane Austen is that she is so very modern. If you read her work, she's so spare in the way that she writes, and that spareness is really modern. No, I need to. Yeah. My kid. Like, okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, huh. Exactly. So it's her spareness that I think we find so modern, and so, you know, I find when I'm working on stuff, it is kind of a tightrope that you have to watch. You know, on the one hand, you want things to feel right, like you know, like the reader is in that time, and so you want to be accurate to the extent that you want the reader to feel the experience of that period. But at the same
Right.
time, you're writing for a modern reader, and I mean, they're not going to necessarily put up with a whole treatise on, carriages or on, clothing styles, or, I mean, whatever, right? So I know that's kind of that's one of those things where you hope you've hit that right balance where it feels right to the reader, but at the same time, it moves. So.
And there's things that they don't want to know about, like, it was probably Tara I was telling that in the dining room, they'd have hidden in one of the decorative pillars or behind a panel, chamber pot.
Yes,
so the men could walk over there, and after the women left to go to the parlor, the men would just go over there and pee.
Right.
Nobody needs to know that. No one needs to read that detail in their romance novel.
No one needs to understand about Regency hygiene. That is what I just decided. Nobody really needs to know, or lack thereof. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, it was. I mean, with Beau Brummel, it was a new thing for men to bathe. I mean, it was like, okay.
I know, he revolutionized the world, fortunately.
Right. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I know. So sometimes, I was a history major, when I was in college. So, I mean, I do have interest in this. So, I mean, I've read a little history, and you do find out, and you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, no, I think it's a happy medium. You're just
I have to say, you have fabulous lighting.
Oh, thank you.
Wish I had nice lighting like that.
Yeah, no, as you can tell, I'm in my office in my house with my son, who's been instructed not to interrupt me because I've done it twice. So.
I tried that with my daughter. I put up a sign when she was like 8 years old. Mom is working. She came in and put an X on it and said, "Funny, Mom."
Yeah, exactly.
Like she's really afraid of me, and it hasn't changed much since then.
Right. Yeah, no, see, these are the struggles your readers just don't understand. You're trying to do this.
God, no.
In between everything else, and I have to say, the thing about writing that is so fabulous, it is an escape. I mean, it is escape from the mundane. I hope that
I heard years ago is that the reason writers write is to try to control their world.
Yeah.
And that's very true for me. I can make anything I can kill off the people I hate, without actually going to prison.
Right. Well, if it's, if any of your readers are interested in modern, more modern stuff, as I said, I started my first book based very loosely on my own experience, and I started out at a big firm, coming out of law school, and big firms are really weird.
Just saying hi to everybody. Keep going. That's okay.
Yeah. So big firms are really weird, and they contain a lot of people who are not very nice. And so I had the pleasure of actually, killing off like the managing partner of the firm and doing that kind of fun stuff. So.
Right. Right, Geraldine. See, Geraldine Rodriguez said historical romance is the best kind, the utter escape from today's chaos into another chaos,
Right. But it's a chaos that is going to end well, right? I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's like, you start.
It has to.
And it's going to
Otherwise, why bother?
Right. Exactly.
Oh, anybody who really makes me mad, I kill them in a book somehow.
Yes.
They get their comeuppance every time. I'll come home, doesn't matter how late it is. If I'm all wound up, I sit down and write it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it. They die. They die.
They're out of there. Yeah, I know.
Here you go, Carol. Yeah, that's what you call behind the scenes. That's one of the things. Yes.
Now you hear the real truth.
Never mind the dirty socks. There's never any arguing over dirty socks or stockings, whatever, right?
Right. Well, and that is the beauty of it, right? Because I mean, as we were just talking about, you're not going to talk about Regency hygiene or lack thereof. You're not going to talk about all this stuff that just as my as my husband would say, kills the magic, right? Like,
Well, that's when the honeymoon is really over.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, Legia. And then we got, and then Carol's laughing. I'll say, I'll have to go back. I'm trying to keep up with the comments too. This is where my multitasking, I have to get my brain, my multitasking brain back in order here.
Oh, I know.
I'm lucky I can remember who I am at any moment.
Well, you know what? At some point, it doesn't matter. That's the other weirdness. I mean, as a writer, you have so many characters like living in your head that at the same time, I almost feel like sometimes at one point I was saying to somebody, it's like schizophrenia, but with a good prognosis, because you've got all these people living in your head.
Oh, that's true. Right, Charlene, when you get home, you got to try writing. Somebody once said to me, oh my God, you got a 3-ring circus in your head. I very slowly looked at them and said, try 9.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and that's not necessarily a good thing. That's not like giving me props.
No, it's the level of chaos.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. It's amazing that I haven't, been reduced to taking drugs.
Right. Well, and you know what though, and people have come up to me, at book signings and things like that, and have said, hey, I've been thinking about this, writing this or working on that, based on my experience. And I always say, you know what, go for it. I mean, because at the end of the day, even if you don't do anything with it, the process of doing it helps you work through whatever it is that you're, concerned about. I mean, and so you're talking about, killing people you dislike. I mean, I come home and I'm like, all right.
One time I wrote an essay, just came home, it was a bad day, and somebody was really, really quite horrible to me. And I wrote this essay, it was satirical, and I was advised by a friend to change the names to protect the guilty.
Yes.
They said, if those people ever read that, they are so going to know. So I was forced to change the names.
Yep. Yeah, well, but, and isn't that the beauty of historical romance? It's like, it's historical.
Well, this little thing wasn't, so people might have really figured it out. And I took the real events and made them satirical. This is a bad day. This is what happened, and a lot of little pithy things. And I said, okay, well, I guess even though I haven't published it, but still.
Yeah. No, the other thing too that I realize as I'm working on things is something will happen and it'll have some sort of impact on me, but I won't actually realize it until, a couple months or a year or even, 2 or 3 years later when I'm working on something and this thing that I'd forgotten completely about sort of bubbles its way back up, into the writing. And I sometimes I'm how when you're working on something and it sort of takes on a life of its own, it's almost like the characters become, they drive the story. You think you may be going in one direction, but your characters actually take you in another. And then, I'll get to the end of it and I will sometimes sit there and think to myself, okay, how did I get there? And often I'll realize it's because I've processed something that that had some observation, something that happened way back, and it's like I'd technically forgotten all about it, but but somehow it kind of hung on and it worked its way into whatever character or situation or whatever it is.
Well, that's what we're all retelling the same basic stories a lot. Essentially. It has to do with the fact that we're still making the readers experience that particular emotion, but it's also filtered through our own experiences, which makes it unique.
Yeah.
So everything we're definitely. I had a guy I knew 1 year ago said, "Oh, Tara, I think I now know what you're like." And I thought, "No, you don't."
No,
because you read one of my books. So no, I don't think you do.
Yeah.
But there are still parts of us in there. There's parts of us in there. We're really. We shouldn't be. The more we write, the less we're writing about ourselves per se. We're in the beginning. We're probably writing more. I know I was anyway, and that's pretty common.
Yeah, me too, obviously. Because I didn't want to do research, so
That's exactly right. Yeah, but it's still filtered through everything that we know, and there's something of ourselves and what we're doing. So that's what makes each one unique. That's the special magic about each book.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree. And I think, you know, you, it's, as I said, it's almost like the characters take on a life of their own. And so, I
Yeah,
mean,
they do.
you know, to the extent that as a reader, you're reading along and you feel, you know, the characters and you know the world and everything else. I mean, they, in some ways it's the writer, it's the author, but in some ways the characters kind of come out, you know, fully formed in some form or fashion, right? I mean, it's funny the way that works. You'd think it would all be a constructive process on the part of the writer. I'm going to do this, and my character is going to do that, and we're going to blah 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 blah, and it doesn't work that way. Weirdly,
No, well, it's a little less. We write to control the world, but in a way, we don't completely do that.
we don't even control our own characters half the time. I don't anyway.
Oh man, there's been more than once that my book was going in a certain direction. I go, I don't want to do that. I don't want, and I would fight it. Then in the end, I would do it.
Right, because you just know that's how it's supposed to go, right?
That's how it has to be. Sometimes, and some things are really tough. I remember one of the first books I wrote, and my writing teacher said, and my critique group said, "You glossed right over that by doing a flashback." I said, "Yeah, but I don't want to write that."
Right. I want to write.
And they said, "Well, go and try, because worst case scenario, you just have wasted a couple of hours."
Right.
And it turned out to be one of the best scenes in the book and one of the hardest scenes to write.
Right. And sometimes actually the hardest, the things you avoid, as you say, are really the things that you should have been working on. Right. I mean,
Summer is a great example of this in The Rake Ruiner. Again, I will say, she said, I can't write that. I can't write a widow who's, you know, been bad.
Right.
But it's one of her best books so far. I'm sure they'll get better and better. They always do. But it really is. And yet it's still closed door. She managed to do it.
Right.
But it was, and I said to myself, I know this is perfect for her. Oh, and that's because she's great at writing chemistry between the characters, which, you know, it doesn't mean you have to have open door sex.
No,
it's chemistry between the characters. And it was one of her best books.
Yeah.
There's no sex in the book. There's sex right before the book. Right before it starts.
Right.
But well, you open the door after it's done, though.
But
you feel that total sultry atmosphere. Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, it's the thing that I really enjoy about Jane Austen is, I mean, Jane Austen is heck, you can read Jane Austen, you know, when you're 8 or 9 or 10, you know what I mean? I mean, it's very chaste, right? In terms of what she writes about, right? But at the same time, you know dang well what's going on. Like, I mean, you know.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, she created some of the heroes. I mean, the quintessential, right? I mean, obviously we're writing an entire genre of book that she created, right?
Right. And you know who else too? Georgette Heyer.
Oh yes. Oh, I love Georgette Heyer. And actually, you know what? I will admit, I had two, when I was in middle school, there were two, this was way back in the day, you know, when we had the middle school library and there was no Amazon, you couldn't get stuff, right? Easily. And so there were two Georgette Heyer books in this library. And I will admit this on, live Facebook, that I told the librarian I'd lost them, but really I had them. I just paid for them because I love this book so much. And they were both Georgette Heyer.
I've done that.
You did this?
Oh God, yes. You kidding me? And Georgette Heyer books, and I think I can't remember who else I did that with. I was a bad girl.
Yeah. No, libraries. I spent a lot of money in libraries.
I didn't do that. That must be why my characters are too nice.
Well, but I realize now. I mean, you know how when you look back, things all become clear. I mean, I realized that. Those two books were like seminal for me because one was a Regency romance, and one was one of her mysteries, and her mysteries always had a romance element to them, always. Yeah. So I was like, I found them the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, now like I see where it all started. I didn't even realize it.
Georgette Heyer's heroes were very sexy.
Yes. Yes.
And there was no sex whatsoever. They would hold them close. And in fact, I've written a couple of books that when I was very young, when I was reading her books, before I ever thought about being a writer, I thought, oh, I would love to write a story like this. I wonder what it'd be like. And it took me even after I started writing, many years to have the courage to even use it as a theme, a basic theme, a similar type of character. And of course, I'm not Georgette Heyer, but I love her heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I was just thinking,
very sexy.
There's only one, and I want to say it's like Venetia. This is terrible. I know too much about these books. There's only one where where the character is actually a rape. And again, she doesn't describe the sex, but there is implication about what's happened and what's going to happen. But that's it. That's the only one I can think of where that's the case.
It's a matter of the chemistry between them.
Yes, exactly.
The longing looks that you know what they want,
Right.
And the fact that he's a rogue, and we all know what he's been doing.
Exactly. Well, and I loved, the other thing I loved about her books, and that, I would hope to be able to emulate this to some extent, would be she always had the really kind of sparkling dialogue, and my work tends to be very heavy on dialogue because that's how I tend to think.
Me too.
But but I mean, that was the other piece, the humor and the dialogue, and some of the really funny expressions and things like that show up in her books. So.
Her books oftentimes flew on the dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah, and she
if you went back and looked at the actual plot, a lot of times there really wasn't a whole lot of plot.
No, it was really all about the interaction between the characters more than anything.
Right.
In fact, one of my favorite is These Old Shades with Leone, right? Yes. And the old Satanis, right?
Right. Yes.
Oh man, that book is one of my favorites.
Yes.
One of my absolute. In fact, when I wrote Redemption of a Marquess, which is part of the Rules of Refinement collection, he was my model for the hero.
Right. Yeah, no, and actually, Georgette Heyer must have really loved that, because didn't she write? Wasn't there another one? It was like The Black Moth. There was a book that was kind of connected.
And in fact, that one there, that's where the heroine shot him, and I used that as a model for To Tame a Highland Earl. My heroine shot him, and he goes and comes into her room in the wrong room, and she knows he thinks it's her sister's room, and she pulls the gun out, and she doesn't want to shoot him, but it's by accident.
Right.
And she tells him in the end, that's why you don't come into a lady's room uninvited. And he looks at her and says, well, this time I have to agree with you.
Well, and I see
she shot him in the leg.
Somebody else apparently stole books from the library, claimed they were lost. Charlene apparently said this too.
We are not the only evil people in the world. Okay.
People who did this kind of stuff. And literally, if I had a copy of these things, you could see they're the 70s paperback. They are falling apart. They are been taped like every which way. I mean, these things.
I actually had, and it's been so long, I'm sorry to say I lost them. I do have some of that was given to me actually by Kim of Zane Grey, but I had a lot of Georgette Heyer's in hardback.
Oh, yes.
I don't have any more, because it used to be 30, 40 years ago, and I'm really dating myself now. A lot of those books were done in hardback.
Yes. Right. Have you? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now this is probably really esoteric in terms of Georgette Heyer reading, but there were a whole series I remember reading a whole series of her books that she had written originally in the 20s, I want to say. And these were books that she later claimed she'd never written. Like they were removed from the list, but they were like modern, and they were kind of strange that a lot of them, again, didn't have a whole lot of plot. I mean, it was kind of like the character sort of driven. I remember,
that's right.
Okay, one was Pastel.
Those, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
Pastel. Which what I remember about it was it had a heroine who was the unattractive sister, who was Pastel, right? And then,
but they were not as good as her Regency. No, she got better as time went on.
No, they were not.
I had forgotten about that. Yes.
Yeah, but I so obsessed with her work that I even went, like would dig through the library to see if I could find it. It wasn't even on the catalog,
That is funny. I had, in fact, I didn't even discover her until I was almost, I don't know, I must have been about 18.
Yeah.
She was for me kind of late because I started reading early and I'd read everything by then that was pretty much available because the libraries where I lived, we didn't have, like you said, we didn't have Amazon, we didn't have Barnes and Noble.
Right.
And if you went to buy books at a local bookstore, they were terribly expensive for us at that time. So I would either get them at a used bookstore for like 5 cents.
Yep.
Or the library, mostly at the library.
Yep. And actually,
I'd go home with, oh my God, as many books as they would let me have at a time.
Yes. Oh, I mean, yeah. As I said, I spent a lot of money at the library because I would end up reading books and then I would get so absorbed in them that I would forget to turn them back in. And then, I had a lot of fines.
or you still haven't finished them and you say, I got to finish them. And it only cost me like 20 cents to take them back. Yeah.
Right. At one point, I remember my dad gave me my allowance and he said, don't spend it all in one library. Like, it was that
I had a relative when I was about 17 who came into town, but they'd lost our address. They found us because they went to the library and said, my cousin lives here and I know she has a library card, and they gave them our address.
Oh my gosh.
I'm totally serious. Which, of course, today we would go like, you're giving out private information. We would be aghast. But back then they said, oh, sure. They gave me the address. And they show up on our door and we said, oh my God, how'd you, I think we'd moved. I was like 17. This is so long ago. And they said, oh, no, I knew you'd be at the library. So I got your address from there.
Oh my God.
Is that not like, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Don't spend it all in one bookstore. I know, right, Alice?
Exactly.
It's very hard.
It is very hard. Very hard.
You can't see it because of my sign here, but this is all shelves here. Now, these are all my research books mostly and a few cookbooks. But on my in my Kindle account, in my Kobo and stuff, oh my God, I'll never be able to read all those books.
Oh, I know. I wish I could just, stop working my regular job so I could just stay home and read.
I know, but and it's so funny because you're talking about the research. One of the things now fortunately I write full time, but one of the things I used to dream about was eventually when I get to write and get paid for it, right?
Right. Oh yeah, that's the dream.
I'll be getting paid to read. Oh my God, I'll be getting paid to read and research because I got to read other books to know what's out there. So I have to read,
right? And
I have to research to make sure, of course, everything's right. And that's the writing time, and then you have to think a lot about what you're doing. So the actual writing time is like this much, the tiny bit compared to all research you do, which is way out. Research and reading you got to do. We spend far less time writing than we do thinking about it and reading about it and talking about it and brainstorming it and all that stuff.
Marketing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the marketing. Oh my God, yeah, the marketing too, right?
Yeah. It's
And thank God, once you got the story in your head, I mean, even though you have to revise and rewrite and all that, you can get it down.
Yeah, no,
but you must read. When I see a hit book, I'll go, oh, you know what? I need to know what they're doing. I have to read that book.
Right. No, of course, right?
You have to.
I mean, that's the thing. I think we become writers because we're readers first, right? I mean, that's, we write things to try to, be the things that we would want to read. I mean, at least that I do.
You got bigger and Tara went away.
I was gonna say,
I know. I'm coming back. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. Stephen King said, if you're going to be a writer, you must read.
Yes.
And he said he brings a book with him to the doctor, to everything.
Yeah. Well, and now, I mean, I have to say, I read a lot of stuff on my phone because I've got books that are loaded on the Kindle app, and I just sit there and, in between whatever.
Yeah, me too.
And actually, I will be honest, I have actually worked on stuff on that too, because on the theory of my 5-10 minutes here and there, I get stuff done.
Right.
So yeah,
I think you get so much done with 5-10 minutes here. I'm not good at that. I need to.
No, well,
chunks of time.
Part of the deal is I realize that I'm one of those people that I have to get on the page. I don't care how it looks. It can be terrible. I'm okay with it being terrible. I just need to get it on the page because it's much easier for me to go back and edit and fix things if it's just on the page. So yeah, so the 5-10 minutes, it's terrible when it's done, but it's done. I mean, like there's something, there's something to work with.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can do it kind of both ways, but it depends. If I've got a really great idea, then I have no problem sitting down on the computer and just getting it out. But if I'm stuck, I do a lot better if I go and I say, well, I've got an appointment, bring pen and paper and just write anything down, because it doesn't matter what you write.
Right, exactly.
The pressure's off.
And I will say that my first book, I actually hand wrote. I wandered around because I only had little bits of time. I wandered around with like a legal pad. And so my entire first book was written out by hand, and then I went back and typed everything up, and then edited it like a bajillion times. I mean, that thing probably got edited more than 200 times at least. So, and it probably, reading it now, it probably could use another bunch of edits.
Well,
So
you probably write better now, so of course you'd edit it.
Right, exactly.
Oh, here's a great question, Alice. Do readers point out historical errors? Yes.
Of course. Yes, they do. Yes.
They do, and sometimes they point out errors they think are errors, but they're not, because they're things that they've read in another book and believe are true, but it wasn't actually in that book to begin with.
Right. And I make no guarantees about historical accuracy. Again, I think it's one of those things.
I do my best.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You want to do enough so that it sounds plausible, but
I really do my best, but there's history, and you can't know it all. You try your research, like Tara said, she has shelves full of books, and then there's also whole genres of what people think is historically accurate based on very popular writers that might not actually be, but it doesn't matter because it is to the reader, and that's all that really matters.
Right. I think I've Diana Gabaldon has admitted that she does a certain amount of research, but then it's done. I mean, and so she makes no apology about the fact that she's going to have errors in there. And I figure, hey, if she's doing that,
That's okay, Melba. Melba's autocorrect, her phone typed for her.
And we all
you know what?
Biggest fallacy.
That's okay.
Like the noble class in England was somehow huge.
Oh, of course, right? Yeah.
Like a duke around the corner.
The thing I love most is when a reviewer goes, "Oh no, that's historically inaccurate," and I'm going, "No, it's very accurate."
Right.
I've seen that about half a dozen times. You just grin and bear it, and you walk on, but you say to yourself, "No."
Right.
That I researched, and that is historically accurate.
Yes. Charlene, I agree with you. I read to escape, so as long as it's relatively close, I'm good.
Yeah. Listen, Braveheart is riddled.
Yes.
With historical inaccuracies, including what happened. Right. People love that show. It's fabulous.
Right.
Yeah, it's all about the reading experience.
Exactly.
Like read to escape.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'd be writing historical fiction. Historical
fiction, right?
Yeah,
Right. Well, I mean, I as I said, I was a history major, so I mean, I read a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's dry. That's the thing about it.
It can be very dry.
Really?
Just so everybody knows, you can't see it, but Laura Chandler is here with us now. She doesn't have video; she only has audio. So she's going to be joining in. She and I wrote the Seduction of a Widow together. So she's here as well.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hello.
She's there.
Can you put up a picture for her?
Do you have one of those like little cutout pictures like on Facebook?
A silhouette.
Yeah.
A silhouette. So Laura and I wrote Seduction of a Widow, which I really liked in particular because this was the first time she and I wrote together, so it had a different flavor than what I would write on my own.
Right.
Even though I write kind of dark, she's really, really good at honing in on the when a person sort of has those what would you call it, flawed characters. and which of course I like it, and I think that that's very compelling. And so our hero and our heroine both, they are not perfect. Are you there, Laura? Can you hear us?
Hello? Hello?
Hi, there you
Hello?
are.
All right.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure she's here. Okay, let me see.
Oh, I see your name.
Okay. Oh, can you hear us now, Laura?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you
Hello,
see? Can you
everybody.
see? People are saying hello to you. Hey, Courtney, Charlene,
Hello.
Alice.
Hello, everyone.
This is our first time with the live stream, and of course, as you guys probably know in the beginning, I had the settings wrong. That's why nobody could see us.
Oh,
I went over there. I said, I can see. Everybody kept saying we can't see you, and I said I can see me, and then I saw why. It was set so that only I would see me.
you gotta love technology, right?
It's a love-hate thing, you know. Sometimes I just love to hate it. That's all it's about.
It is.
I thought you were going to say
So
that you
Laura-
love technology, but it doesn't love you.
Right. Yeah.
It does not love me. Technology does not love me at all. Yeah, it's very, very weird. I don't know. I think that in another life I must have done something wrong. So Laura, why don't you start also and tell a little bit about your perspective on Seduction of a Widow?
Okay. Well, Seduction of a Widow is the story of a widow who was twice married and twice widowed, and she had a very free spirit, very adventurous person. But her second husband was a very disciplined, military disciplined, self-controlled guy, and they had a lot of conflict in their marriage over that, and she felt very suppressed. And then when she became widowed, even though she was sad to lose her husband because she respected him very much, she really didn't want to get tied down again. But at a house party, she meets a young privateer who seems on the surface to have some of the same love adventure that she does. And she's left feeling like, should she take a chance that he's going to respect her need for to be free and to live a full life, or will he be like the other men? And that was the most interesting part of the story to me.
Yeah, she and on top of it, he's younger than her.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
He's a few years younger than her.
Yeah.
2 whole years.
And so
Oh no.
she's always calling him that young man.
But he's
Until, of course, the right. Pardon, Laura?
But he's very wise and mature for his age. Life is
Well, and he's also a privateer, so he's very sexy.
yeah, he's very sexy. Maybe she feels like he could be a little dangerous
Yeah, exactly.
to her.
Yeah,
And you thought regular Regency hygiene wasn't for talking about.
No, seriously.
I know, right? Hey, listen, when it comes to sexy, as long as you are in a clean environment, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. And unlike Summer's book, we're a little bit on the other side of that spectrum. It is open door.
Yep.
And this book was for the Marriage Maker, at least of the books I've written or I've co-written. Let's see, the one I wrote with Erin was pretty sexy. It's one of the sexier books, this one here. Definitely, they have a couple of great encounters, I think.
Oh, have we lost Laura?
Oh, let me bring her back. Uh-oh, what happened? Did we lose you, Laura? Okay, I got to bring her back. That's funny that it does this sometimes.
Well, and I'm gonna pop off because I've actually my kids have homecoming tonight, so I gotta go to a homecoming football game.
Oh no!
I know.
Okay.
My son was probably popping in like, "Mom, what are you? Like, it's time to go."
Mom, hurry up.
Yeah.
Too late.
Well, this has been
Pirate
delightful.
hygiene, Alice says. Well, thanks for being here.
Yes, thanks for
And
having me.
It's nice
yeah,
to meet
yeah,
you.
we'll see you around again. And just so everybody knows, I am going to be, and we will be posting more stuff in the room as well, like some giveaways and stuff. But for myself, it's a little bit harder than I thought to multitask and do that at the same time and watch this and monitor everything on the video.
Yeah, maybe you need an
Oh,
assistant.
come on, I put mine up. I just thanked the same person literally like 20 times in a row, but I got the
Right,
gift.
right. Yeah, no. All right, somebody's asking about pirate hygiene. I think I'll get off at this one because you guys will take that one.
We'll handle. All right, we'll see.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Just shut your computer.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we've got Laura, me, and Summer. Okay, so pirate hygiene. I figure that they can just jump in the ocean. They're probably some of the cleanest people around.
True.
Yeah. You know, and also when they have bad weather and
They get rained on.
yeah, they get rained on. Yeah, and in fact,
Regency bathing.
you know, the research I've done actually says that they were very clean on the ships. Yeah, that's what I've read. So they were probably cleaner than the people walking downtown London who didn't always bathe all that much.
No. People actually paid what was his name? Bew Brummel to watch his bathing routine. Other men paid him to come watch him get up and bathe and shave and get dressed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he revolutionized the idea of bathing and being clean and dressing perfectly. He created that whole style, the Regency gentleman style. And people, including the king, the king didn't have to pay, he got to watch for free, would come and sit in his bedchamber and watch him get dressed in the morning to see how to be clean.
You know, actually, from everything I've read, that's interesting you say that, because everybody, the average person tends to think that, like what was on the way, what they showed on Braveheart, where they were walking around in gunny sacks and they were very dirty. And in those days, that actually wasn't true. They were actually very clean. They would do like a spit bath, like almost every day. So they were probably cleaner than a lot of the people during the Regency era, when in Regency era, they would put on perfumes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would just put on more and more perfume. One thing we're all fortunate for, I think, is that right when Jane Austen started writing her novels, when she started Pride and Prejudice, is back when men still wore the big powdered wigs. But by the time she finished it, that had gone out of style, and she went back and rewrote it and took the wigs out. So we all came like so close to not being able to. I just feel like I wouldn't be able to love Mr. Darcy like I do if he was wearing a big powdered wig. It just wouldn't.
No,
we were so close to being all ruined.
That makes me think more of Rumpelstiltskin in Shrek Forever. I've had where's my angry wig? You know? Yeah, those wigs were pretty strong.
10 years before Jane Austen, who had great books, but all her men had wigs, so we forgot about them.
I know, right? That's very true. And the books from that era, if you go too far back, the romance books don't do as well. They just don't do as well.
Well, that time was also a big surge in maybe we can marry for love, right? That's why it's sort of the dark era of romance. Like maybe we don't just have to trade women for sheep. We could let them like the guy.
Yeah, let them like the guy, right? Well,
and some sheep. You know, sheep are always good. No.
I loved, there was a scene in one of my favorite movies, The Mummy, with Brendan Fraser. After the ship burns down, they end up in the desert, and the brothers haggling for the camels. And Brendan Fraser says, "You know, we could have gotten these for free. All you'd have to do is give them your sister." and his Jonathan says, "Yeah, very tempting, wasn't it?"
That's a
just
great
to give her up, because she was a lot of trouble anyway. Anyway, so Laura, do you have any other thoughts on Seduction of a Widow?
She got again.
Did we lose you, Laura?
No. I think it's a very exciting, sexy story because of their age difference, and because he's like no other man she's experienced before. So I think this is a you know it's very challenging to her, and she was looking for a life with more challenges. So
He is very
that's
challenging, that's for sure.
yeah. And I think that he's a little bit more passionate, and he has deeper emotions than the men that she's dealt with before too. And this is another thing that I think makes the story unique.
One of the things I thought was fun about the story was that her first marriage, her husband died on their wedding night,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
thought
you
that
can
was
see.
it's terrible, but I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, well, she was very young, very young to have something like that happen to her. So,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
I think this also could add to her feelings of, I'm not sure that I want to, get into wedlock again with the.
Mhm.
I've had these two experiences. The first one with the husband dying prematurely, and she's so young. It would be very hard to deal with. And then also, then she's married to this, her second marriage is to this man who is so different than she is. And even though, she's trying as hard as she can't change for him.
Right. Even though she cares about him and she knows he loves her.
Yeah. And she respects him greatly, but she
Yeah.
just,
And he's much
he asks
older
for
than she
more.
is. Okay, she's quite a bit older than her.
Yeah.
And with her first marriage, one of the other things I thought was interesting was that when her husband died on their wedding night, which was through no fault of her own, he was old, he was out of shape, and he shouldn't have, as we point out in the book, been married to a young woman who might, tax his energy.
Yeah.
But society was very unforgiving about that. And
Yeah,
he
they were.
wasn't the one who was at fault for being an older guy who was out of shape. She was somehow at fault.
Yeah, unlucky.
Well, of
Yeah.
course.
Bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's always like that. So she was, even though she was a part of society because she came from a good family, and she was married into wealth and title, she didn't exactly fit in. And then
Yeah.
you add on top of that the fact that she liked to do things like race horses.
Yeah,
And
she's probably
yeah, exactly right.
a stronger character than a lot of the men that she came
Yeah,
in contact with.
stronger than a lot of the men. And of course, all the guys thought they could tame her, except for our
Yeah.
hero.
He didn't want to tame her.
No, on the
He liked her
contrary,
the
he
way
didn't
she
want to at
was.
all. No. So,
But at first I think it's very hard for her to trust that a man could be like that because of her
mhm.
previous experiences.
And isn't that very similar to today? You worry
Yeah.
that, especially the older you get, when you're young, you think, oh, it's an alpha male and he loves me. But really, then a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times they try to be a bit more bossy than we like. That's why I've never been married, probably, right?
Yeah, definitely that she had her experience of men was of their controlling nature.
Much
Even her
more.
father loved her very much, but he still
Hmm.
wishes
Yeah,
that
he
she
was still
would.
very controlling as well. So, oh boy, love is never easy, is it?
No, love is never easy.
Even during his best, my poor daughter should go, why is it this way or why is it that way? And I'm like, relationships are hard. That's it. And it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is, but especially romantic relationships, because your
They are.
your good sense goes out the window.
Yeah, she had that universal pressure on her to conform and to be
Hmm.
what other people felt that she should be.
Right.
And when she loved someone, she cared for someone, she tried, but she just couldn't. And, I think up until that point, maybe, she had been made to feel like that was a failure on her part, but now she has this chance to be herself.
Hmm.
But, she's really taking a chance and really putting herself out there to trust in it. I think for her in the, at least in the first half of the book, there's a lot of taking a risk and taking a risk to trust.
And that's what love and is all about in the long run, being able to trust somebody. That's that's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. But their attraction comes on, so fast and so powerfully that they're forced to each face their doubts and their fears very quickly.
Yeah, they are. That's kind of the it's funny. It wasn't exactly love at first sight. They liked each other, but the real sort of strong connection, even though I think the book only takes place over the course of 24 hours, really, isn't that right, Laura?
Yes, yes.
So when they met each other, they were instantly attracted to one another, but neither of them thought, oh, this is love.
Yeah.
In
But
fact,
the
they both thought,
circumstances.
no, thank you, in a way.
Yeah. But
And
the
probably
circumstances.
for that is, which I hope we conveyed well, was because they intuitively understood that there was a strong connection there, and they both kind of wanted to avoid that.
Yeah,
So,
they would have. But circumstances work to change all that, to force them to face.
and of course, Sir Sterling had no hand in that, did he?
No, no.
What did he do?
He
Lock
had
them in a
no
room
hand.
together?
Pardon, Summer?
What did he do? Lock them in a room together?
Oh well, in this particular case, the idea, I think, hopefully the impression that I kind of had was that he kind of seized the moment. He heard these men he overheard these men talking about her, how beautiful she is and how great it'd be to, get her into bed. And our hero was there, and they brought him into the conversation, and then they left. And so Sterling went up to him and said, she's not what they say she is. She's much deeper. And he said, come on, let me introduce you. So in this case, the idea was it was a little more spur of the moment instead of everything being planned perfectly. And then, of course, he still went along and kind of facilitated a little bit as they went along, them being together. So Sir Sterling is a very smart guy, but the idea is sometimes he just seizes the moment. He doesn't always know ahead of time what's going on. Although he does know often what's going on. He is kind of God.
He's a good master of ceremonies there in the story, and that's what's needed. Somebody needs to be somebody there to keep things on track.
Yeah, master of ceremonies, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, that's a great way to phrase it. Well, I think that we are going to close out our live feed here and go to the party room so everybody can see some of the contests we have here, and you guys can ask a few more questions. This is our first time doing the live feed, so next time hopefully we will also be a little more on the ball in the beginning. Or me, it was all me. I say we. Isn't it funny how I'm sharing the blame? We'll be a little more on the ball next time.
We could have practiced with you, so it's on us too. We could have practiced.
No, it was on me. Nobody could see it on my feed but me because I had it set to that. So I don't think you guys can quite take any credit for that.
I'll take a lamp or something.
Well, now I know, and next time I'll be sure to set those settings. And so we're going to close up the live feed, everybody. Thanks for coming over here and chatting with us here. And we're going to head back over to the party room now and post a few contests and answer any questions and play a little bit more there. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Let's see if Tara can turn it off.